agent, freelance editor, and author. I am the author of Goldilocks and the Three Bears, Understanding Autism Spectrum Disorder, which is written to teach neurotypical children about their autistic friends and family members. I'm the author of It Takes a Village, How to Build a Support System for Your Exceptional Needs Family. This is a guide to help families in the early days of the diagnosis to build the support system that they need. My youngest son is on the spectrum, so working with families that have children with exceptional needs is very important to me. And finally, Worth It, which is my young adult debut. It just came out this year in May, and this is the book that's primarily going to drive the conversation today. So before I was a literary agent, I was an educator for 20 years. I first taught second grade, and then I moved into the library as media specialist at the elementary school. And then, much to my children's frustration, I followed them to middle school and was a middle school librarian for 10 years. I did leave education after my youngest son was born. His needs were very big at the time in the early days of the diagnosis, and now they're a little less big. So I've been really enjoying being in the publishing world since then. I've always been around books as a librarian, and I always was a reader as a kid. And so it's just kind of a dream come true to be doing what I am doing today. But prior to going to college, I was a teen in crisis. I found myself homeless, then eventually living in a rundown trailer park in poverty with a much older man, and eventually pregnant. And that's what Worth It is kind of about. It is a fictionalized version of that period of time in my life. And I started writing it long before my son was born. And started it off when I was working in the library behind my circulation desk. I'd punch out a few chapters, and then it stalled when he was born. But I think that it came out at the right time. So I want to read a couple parts of this book to you, because that's going to really help me organize my thoughts of what I want to talk about today. So I have two author's notes in the back of the book. One is the author's note to the teens in the room, and then there's an author's note to the adults in the room, to all of us. There are two main characters in the book. Angela Carter is the teen in crisis, and then her best friend Julie. Julie has a very stable family life, and so it's kind of about those two girls. So, author's note to the teens in the room. I see you. You have value. You have worth. You are not alone. If, like Angela, you are in a challenging situation, please find a trusted adult to share what is happening in your life. Turn to a teacher, a guidance counselor, a friend's parent, or someone. Angela waited too long. You don't have to. Your life matters. You matter. If, like Julie, you are fortunate enough to have a stable and loving family, first off, thank them. Secondly, be a friend like Julie. You never know what is happening in a friend's life behind closed doors. Never give up on them. So that's kind of one of the themes in the story, is the contrast between these two girls. Even though they're best friends, they're having very different lived experiences. And Julie is involved in, picking out prom dresses and going on dates, and Angela's living a life of just trauma behind closed doors. Julie knows that something's going on, but she doesn't really know what. She can't really pick up on the signs, the subtext, if you will. And Angela's also hiding things, and that's typical for teens in crisis. Shame, embarrassment, sometimes they feel responsibility. And so I think really targeting both of those groups, letting teens in crisis know this is not your fault. You're still a kid. You can ask for help. And then who can I ask for help to? Who are the people that I can go to? Sometimes kids don't know. It probably isn't a family member if they're in a bad situation. And for kids like Julie, what are the signs that your friend may be going through a troubling time? And then what responsibility do you have, because they're still kids too? And what can they do? Can they tell their parent? Can they anonymously drop a note to a guidance counselor? Just giving both of those groups some actionable steps of what to do. Because Julie wanted to do something, she just didn't know what. And at the end, you kind of figure that out, and then she's left with a whole ton of guilt because she could have said something to somebody, but she didn't have those tools either. So I think both of those groups of teens are really important for us to reach. I think that's one reason that I decided to be an educator when I was able to go to college, because I just I saw how important most of the people that were there for me were educators. And your job as a teacher or a guidance counselor is so more beyond teaching content to kids. There's just so much more going on in kids' lives. And I think those educators need to be well aware of those too. And that's where we come to the next author's note. The author's note to the adults in the room. Your note is going to be much longer because no child should ever have to grow up too fast. Teen pregnancy is a crisis. According to data collected by the CDC and DoSomething.org, of teens who give birth before graduating, only 50% have a high school diploma or GED by age 22, as opposed to 90% of students who aren't teen parents. Of those who do graduate, only around 2% earn a college degree by age 30, and an astonishing 25% have a second baby within 24 months. It should come as no surprise these teens are at a much higher risk for poverty, dependence on governmental assistance, mental health challenges, substance abuse, and more. The statistics for children of teen parents aren't any better. They are at a much higher risk for low birth weight, infant mortality, cognitive impairment, foster care placement, incarceration, poverty, and teen pregnancy themselves than children born to adult parents. Additionally, if those statistics weren't staggering enough, the annual financial burden to our country as a result of teen pregnancies is in the billions. My daughter and I, born when I was 17, are not part of those statistics. I clawed my way out of poverty, went to college, and enjoyed a 20-year career as an educator. She was born healthy, excelled in school, and is now a board-certified elder law attorney. I was also born to a teen mother, but the cycle stopped with me. Why? Why did my story turn out differently than the majority of teens in the same situation? I can tell you why. My school had supportive and encouraging teachers. My community had an educational program for teen mothers. My local community college provided scholarships for teen parents. My community provided me with the support and opportunities many communities don't have. And this is a problem. It is a crisis every day that any child doesn't have access to what they need to be the best versions of themselves. It is up to us, the adults in the room, to ensure accurate information and accessible resources are available to all children, regardless of their needs. And yes, teens are still children. We need to do better. Their future is our future, and it's worth it. I'm kind of passionate about that. So that's worth it. So I want to talk a little bit about some of those resources that saved me. So that Education for Teenage Mothers program, when the rumor mill got around my school that I was pregnant, and I was about 4 months by the time it got out, because I was terrified to tell anyone, right? So obviously, up until that point, I had no access to health care at 4 months pregnant and a teenager. I had little access to healthy foods. Things were not good. And so my guidance counselor pulled me into his office and he said, I know what's going on with you. I don't know how to help you, but we're going to develop a plan together. And so I left his office that day feeling still scared and terrified, but there was somebody now holding my hand to help me figure out what to do. And it wasn't long before he had it figured out. He called me back into his office about 2 or 3 weeks later and said a friend of mine, an old colleague, has started an Education for Teenage Mothers program at the local adult education center. I'd like to go take you over there and let you check it out. And so we went over, and it was a program off campus, but at a different campus, a campus where teens that were either dropping out or older adults, anyone really, could go to get a GED. And then they had this program as well. And so 2 days a week, the girls met in the ETM class and took classes in things like nutrition, baby care, infant care, money management, things that most teens didn't need to know, but we did. information that we desperately needed to be healthy and to have a healthy baby and to be able to provide for our babies. Additionally, they had a nurse that came over once a week. I think it was nursing students from the community college, but I can't remember. And they did things like checked our vitals, checked our nutrition journal. We had to write down everything that we ate, how much water we drank. And a lot of us didn't have access to healthy foods, but at least we were being taught how to at least try better. And a lot of times we cooked meals there at ETM. And so there was really this accountability that, and I also, then you had access to other teens going through the same thing. I wasn't flipping through prom magazines trying to figure out what dress I was going to buy. I was like, how do I eat a decent meal so I have a healthy baby? I'm not gaining enough weight. What do I do? And so it was just great to have peers that were going through the same thing. And then 2 days a week, we were in academic courses outside of ETM at the Adult Education Center. And so additionally, the community college would come over and speak to us about continuing education. My guidance counselor from the Adult Education Center took me over to the community college, made me sit down with an academic advisor, talk about going to college. I didn't think it was possible for me, and I didn't go after high school. I waited several years. I was in that crisis situation for about 4 years, and I'm not exactly sure what finally clicked, but all of the things that all of these adults had told me years later began to feel possible. The older I got, I was like, I cannot stay in this situation. I cannot let this be my child's life. And so I went back to that community college, and that counselor there, the academic advisor, helped me figure it out. And then even going to college was difficult. I was on many governmental assistance programs. So I remember back when I was in college, standing on Saturday mornings in a food stamp line all around a building to get food stamps. And yep, it was humiliating, but it was what I had to do. And thank goodness those governmental assistance program existed and still exist. And we need to protect those. WIC ensured that my baby had formula and healthcare that she needed. And so, just all of that really, really matters. And that's kind of the thing. It wasn't an orchestrated collaborative effort that got me out of there. It was lots of different moving parts. It was comments that strangers would make to me that just landed in my brain and it just all meshed together as I can do better. I can be better. And there are people out there that want to help me be better. And so I just think that us as adults, your vote matters when it comes to teens in crisis. And your presence matters, and your supporting nonprofit organizations matters. All of that matters to a kid's life. And I look back at all the people that helped me along the way. And some of them I've been able to reach out to. The teacher of ETM, I reached out to her after I wrote the book and sent it to her, and she ended up calling me. And, we just had the greatest conversation. And of course, she's so proud of me. And I couldn't have done it without her, without that program that she created. But I think of all the people that helped me along the way, I look at my life now and I feel like I've positively impacted the lives of hundreds of children over a 20-year span. Now I work mostly with families of autistic children, giving them support that they don't need. I look at my own children, which it was important to me that, they didn't start a life in crisis. And I made strategic decisions as a parent. My daughter that was born to me in crisis in that trailer park, as I said earlier, she's 36 years old. She's a board-certified elder law attorney in the state of Florida. She's helped many, many, many people with elder law planning and helping the elderly. And I'm so proud of her. And she didn't have to grow up the way I did. She didn't have to go through crisis to make her dreams come true. And my youngest daughter is a military wife, and she is also a digital design creator and a hairstylist. And my oldest son just graduated from UCF with a degree in finance. And then my youngest little guy is 9. So who knows what, he'll choose to do. But I know it will be something great, because I made the decision that lifestyle was stopping with me. And I think that's another message to teens in crisis. This doesn't have to continue. Reach out to people that can help you. Accept help when it's offered, and don't be afraid to tell people what's going on in your life. No one is going to judge you. You're a kid. And so I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to me today. And I hope something that I shared meant something to you. I would love to be a resource to your organization in any capacity, or to any teens that might need to talk to someone that's been there. You can reach me at amynielsenauthor.com, AMYNIELSEN, and I'm most active on social media on Twitter at AmyNielsen06. So thank you very much for listening, and have a great rest of your day.